I'm Graham MacDonald, Chief Executive of Caterham Cars. Always remember to drive within your capabilities, no matter how fast or how efficient and how powerful the product is. As long as you drive within your own capabilities, you will remain safe.
تاريخ سيارات كاترهام مثير للاهتمام، فقد جاء ثمرة للتعاون والتشارك ومن ثم التطوير والنمو. الفكرة بدأت من سيارة اشترى حقوق تصنيعها مالك شركة حالم، فكانت نواة لما يعرف حاليا بشركة كاترهام.
The company started originally as a Lotus dealership in the town of Caterham in Surrey, in England here. The product they sold was the product you see behind me, which is was the Lotus 7. Colin Chapman designed the Lotus 7 and decided in the early 70s that he no longer wanted to build it. The family that had the Lotus dealership in Caterham decided that they would like to take on the license to build the product, and they carried on building it and renamed it the Caterham 7. So Caterham started in 1973 to build this product that you see behind me, and we've been building it ever since.
صحيح أن التطوير جزء لا يتجزأ من تسلسل الزمن، لكن الالتزام بالإرث والأصل قد يأخذك بعيدا في سعيك الدائم للتطور، وكان ذلك الحال مع سيارة كاترهام، سيارة متطورة وإرثها ثابت.
I think the uniqueness of the product. Colin Chapman's original ethos was lightweight through power, and what we have managed to do over the 56 years of building cars, we've managed to maintain that. If you look at normal road cars today, they're all getting bigger, they're all getting heavier. Here at Caterham, it's fundamental to us and key that we maintain the original Colin Chapman design. As I say, lightweight and power, and we've managed to do that. And we have followers around the world that still want to buy cars and experience the pure driving pleasure.
إن أردنا أن نهب أنفسنا للتكنولوجيا بالكلية، فإننا قد نفقد أنفسنا في طور ذلك ونضيع الاتجاه ويزول المضمون. في كاترهام التزام بالتطور، لكن الأساس تبقى القيادة الحقيقية. إنها سيارة فقط لمن يعرف القيادة.
Driver ability. There are no driving aids as you get in modern cars nowadays, so there's no anti-locking brakes, there's no launch control, there's no airbags, but what happens is, because the car is so lightweight, the power to weight ratio allows us, with the tyres and the technology we develop in the car, allows us to drive the car on the road at speed. But it does rely on driver ability and driver focus. We tend to find different levels of client. We have a number of different levels. Our high-powered car, like the one we've launched today, that tends to appeal to your track day enthusiast because you don't need that level of power on the road and you can't use that level of power on the road normally. So we tend to sell that product to the enthusiast who likes to take cars on track, and they will find that there's not many cars on a circuit that will beat a Caterham 7. At the opposite end of the scale, we find the person that likes a Sunday car, who likes to take it for a drive in the country, doesn't necessarily need too much power and might be happy with 125 horsepower, and they like to go on a B road, as we call it in the UK, which is a nice windy country roads, and have a drive out on a Sunday morning.
إن كاترهام سيارة حقيقية القيادة فيها بالأساسيات، لذا نجد الشركة على نفس المستوى مع أهم سلسلة سباقات العالم الفورمولا 1، ولذلك خصصت الشركة وحدة خاصة بها للتواصل مع عالم السباق. إنها في النهاية سيارة للسباق والسرعة.
Certainly there is. Our shareholders have owned the business now for the last 2 years, and in those 2 years we have seen the cooperation between the three businesses increase tremendously. On one side we have the Formula 1 team, as you've mentioned, we have the Caterham Cars, and we also have our Caterham Innovation and Technology Company, which is our engineering and technological company. What we're finding now is our CTI, as we call it, Caterham Technology and Innovation, they're developing new product for cars. And then on the other hand, we are doing more and more work with the Formula 1 team to get the exposure and the marketing through the Formula 1 team. I've just returned from the German Grand Prix, where we spent 2 days with the F1 drivers outside of the normal Formula 1 driving schedule. They were doing hot laps on the Grand Prix circuit and hot laps on the Nordschleife. So we are interlinking all three businesses now, and we're all working together to move this business forward.
ترتقي شركة كاترهام لقواعد اللعبة عندما يتعلق الأمر بالتنافس مع شركات أخرى. الشركة فريدة في منتجها، وهي لا تفيض على السوق لتحقيق الانتشار، فهي منتشرة بمعنى الانتشار المطلوب. 500 قطعة فقط في السنة تلك التي تنتجها الشركة.
We are very much a niche manufacturer, and competition remains tough. However, I think we have the product here that, because it's been around for so many years, people are aware it is a quality product, and when they buy a Caterham, they know exactly what they're getting. Therefore, we maintain the 500 units per year. However, the future is quite bright for Caterham. We are working on a number of new models to come out over the next 2 to 3 years. We're working on some new models that we're bringing out in the interim that we've designed ourselves, and we're also working now in close partnership with Renault. We've signed a joint venture with Renault Alpine, and we are very excited in the development of launching a new road car late 2015, early 2016, and that will be a completely new road-going model that will be homologated for the whole of the world market.
Hi Marianne.
Hi,
How are you?
Yoni.
Nice to meet you.
First, thank you for inviting us.
No problem.
Second, I'm so glad to be here in Caterham. third, I'm so excited to know more about your beautiful cars.
Okay.
I'm sure it takes lots of effort and time to build all these beautiful cars.
Sure. I mean, we've been producing the Caterham design since Colin Chapman's design back in 1957. And from then we've developed the car many generations to where we are now. And as you can see, we'll walk around today and show you how the cars are built from the very beginning right through to the very end and get cars out on the road.
Okay, Oli, so I will let you explain all the process to our viewers.
Okay.
Go ahead, feel free.
Thank you very much. So this is how the chassis arrive here at the factory. We receive the chassis in this structure, and as the cars develop along the line, we then put the cars into various different stages where you can see the engineers are starting to put together the dash features, the pedal box goes in, the steering column facility all starts to be put together, and then that's where Station 2 leaves and we move further along the line to the next step. You'll start to see that parts of the car get, more parts get put together in the car, so we get the heat proofing starts to get put in the engine bay. You'll see that dash inserts start to be put in. The tunnel is also starting to be wired, pre-wired ready for its engine management system, and the prep is then ready for the cars to go to the next bay, which is where we start to put on the pre-wiring and the wiring loom for preparation for engine. As you can see, Chris is putting all the wiring in for the car, all the pre-wiring before the engine, battery, all the engine management system goes in, and he's rigging all the wiring and everything for the car before we get to Station 5, where all the scuffling is done, ready for battery install. A lot of the drilling in the chassis is prepared, and the car is then getting towards Station 6, where we get to the end of our CKD line. In the UK, around 25 to 30% of our production goes to customers who like to buy the car and build it themselves. That's one of the great things about Caterhams in the UK, is that we can sell Caterhams in kit form, and it's something that's been very popular and very good for our business. But this is the part of the line at Station 6 where we build the cars to at any point, and this is the end for the kit line. Once they get to here, they either go over in Station 7 for full manufacture, or they leave here and leave with the customer for Caterham for Station 6, and they go home for home build. So here at Station 7 is where we build all our engines for every Caterham we produce. We receive our engines from Ford. They produce two engine variants for us, which is the Ford Sigma 1.6 litre engine, which forms our entry-level car. And we have the 2 litre Ford Duratec engine, which forms our upper range for our Caterham range. So here, every engine that goes into any Caterham we build, the 500 cars a year that we build, every engine comes through here. We remove the parts we don't want from Ford, and we put in the parts we do want to form the different horsepower variations, different levels of performance that we can offer in our range. Here at Station 8 you start to see the main features of the car being put together, so you get to start to see things like suspension arms start arriving. If you looked inside the car you would see that there's things like handbrake levers are here, you've got brake lines being put through, and there's dials being put into the car, and the main features of what will become the fully built road car are starting to appear. All the wiring is now complete, it's all heat sealed, and the car is getting towards being ready for engine, suspension, gearbox, which then starts to happen further down the line. So next we have Station 9, where the major parts of the car start to come together. As you'll see, the engine is now in, the gearbox is now in, we've got things like front suspension, front brakes are starting to go on. Next is things like fitting the rear wings, the last piece of the bodywork to go on, doing the carpeted interior if the customer has selected that as an option. Everything prior to this point has been purely mechanical, then up to at this point now it becomes more of the look and feel of the vehicle. Then we get to Station 11 where we start to finish off the interior. So next is station 11, when we start to get towards the finishing touches of the car. So here we're putting in all the runners for the seat adjusters, the linings on the back of the cockpit area here where it's all carpeted, dash is all finished off, and we're ready to move on to station 12 where we get towards the end of production. Here everything is quality checked, and we make sure that the car is fully complete, ready for road test. Station 13, when we get towards finish of production, wheels go on, final parts of the car, and let's go and see the cars as they get towards finish. So here we're getting towards the final ends of production, and as you can see we have two cars that are almost fully complete here. Here you can see the kind of variations we produce, certainly for windscreen and for driver style and differences people have in their taste for vehicles. This again is one of our 40 years of Caterham editions. We're only going to build 40 of them, and they sold pretty much within about 4 days because we're celebrating 40 years of building the Caterham at this very facility. Then we get to station 14, which is final checks, quality checks and road test. So here you can see the car is up on the ramp, and we get underneath it and we check everything is tightened, everything has fluid, we make sure that the seats and all the interior are finished to the correct standards, make sure that everything is ready to go for the customer to receive the car. Then we get dropped down from the ramp once everything is checked mechanically, and we take the car out. Every car that's produced here is put out on a 25-mile road test, as is traditional with a car that's in such low volume as this. We have no robotics to guarantee everything, it's all done by hand. Everything is an emotional check. Every man here wants to guarantee that their work is as it should be, and they have respect for the name of Caterham, and we hope that customers understand that we build these cars to the highest of standards. So once it comes off the ramp, it then leaves through the back of the factory, where a test driver will take it out on the roads for 25 miles, and we'll come back and we'll make sure that everything is as it should be, and it's ready then for delivery. Finally, we reached the end at station 15. The car's now been road tested, it's been out, it now has its final checks, and we deliver it to the customer. So that's the story of Caterham from the very beginning to the very end.
Thank you very much, Oli, for the tour. It was very interesting. Now I have to try one of your cars.
Let me give you some keys, there you go.
Thank you.
Let's go out.
Bye-bye.
Well, Caterham Motorsport is the UK's biggest family of factory-run championships. We have 6 championships, which stand from a novice driver category right up to almost verging on what you might consider a serious professional championship with the R300 series. So in the UK, we have 6 championships, 2 parallel academy series for complete novices, and then another 4 championships above those. Each step of the way is a step up in terms of performance in the car and skill in the driver, so we try and control the experience. But with each car step we make, it's very important to us that you don't need to look at the clock to be able to tell the car is different. You simply drive the car and you know that it's a much quicker car. The beauty of the Academy is that it's designed exclusively for novices, and over the past 19 years we've got very good at honing that offering, so we know exactly how to take someone that has no experience of being on track or ever behind the wheel of a racing car at all and enable them to get the most out of themselves, out of the car, and really enjoy it.
عادتنا دائما ان احنا نشوف السيارات السبورت او الجديده، السيارات السبورت تعتمد على الرفاهيه والالكترونيه، لكن هاي السياره من شركه كاترهام يعني تعتمد او تعتبر سياره بيور درايفر، يعني بيور درايفر كار بمعنى الكلمه. سياره سواقتها جدا رائعه، يعني تحس بحيويه وانت تسوقها، قويه. انت قاعد تتكلم عن سياره فيها 220 هورس باور، لكن خفت السياره، وزن السياره هو 500 كيلو. يعني تخيل معاي مدى خفة هاي السياره ومدى قوتها راح تكون بال 220 هورس باور، لا حد يستهين فيها ابدا.
This car you're driving is a street car,
Correct.
not a truck.
No, this is a road legal, so it's taxed, ready for the UK, and is legal on all of the UK roads.
Nice.
We also build cars that are homologated for Europe, and also in your own country, Japan, Asia. So
I didn't see one of these in Qatar yet.
No, the trouble is, whilst they can get into Qatar, I think the climate is a little bit too warm for Qatar. Maybe these are a good car at night in Qatar where the temperature drops a bit.
Yeah.
But in the daytime, I'm guessing, I think your colleagues were saying it's 49 degrees or something just now.
In summer.
I think it gets a little too hot for this car in Qatar. That's the problem.
سواقتها جدا سهله وجدا جميله. لما تسوقها راح تحس انك راكب سياره مثل ما تقول فورمولا 1، يمكن احلى بشوي. شبابنا راح يحبونها حق رمضان، ياخذون فيها لفه على الكورنيش، يتمشون فيها. فعلا سياره جميله.
Do you drive this car on a daily basis?
I tend to bring this car out if the sun's shining on a day like this, which
Yes.
is not very often in the UK, unfortunately. But as you can tell, it's quite comfortable. I also have a bit of power when wanted. So yes, I love to drive this on a daily basis.
Is it a comfortable car for long distance?
Yes, it can
Convince me why.
It can get a bit noisy, but
Yeah.
actually it's got a very effective heater here, which is great in the UK. If it's too hot, the wind cools you down. I guess it might be a bit hot for some of your fellow countrymen in your country, but in the UK it's fantastic.
Yes.
طبعا احنا تعودنا انه يكون في مكيف، هالسياره ما فيها مكيف. يعني السكان جدا يابس، لان اصلا ما في مثل ما نقول باور او شيء. لا، حتى الطفايه مش موجوده في السياره على فكره. السسبنشن مش هو السسبنشن الالكتروني اللي احنا متعودين عليه. السياره فعلا انصنعت عشان تكون السبورت والسباق فقط.
I liked the stability of the car on the roundabouts.
Yeah,
It's really stable. The suspension.
correct. The suspension is set like
stiff.
yeah, it's set like race suspension, so it's nice and stiff, so you don't wallow around. But if need be, it's very quick away from the roundabouts.
هذه السيارة طبعا من شركة بريطانية مثل ما احنا نعرف، هي دائما تصنع الستيرنج على السيت اليمين، لكن السيارة اللي انا فيها راح يصدرونها، عشان شي انتم تشوفونها او تشوفوني انا على اليسار.
We sell, most of these are sold in the UK.
Yeah.
Our next largest market is France, and then after that is Japan. We have a big following in Japan, yes. The Japanese like the traditional English products or the traditional British products, and this, as you say, looking at it, it looks quaint, it looks like a toy. It's a typical quintessential British product, and the Japanese like that.
فعلا هالسيارة عطتنا مفهوم غير عن كل سيارات السبورت، تختلف تماما عن اي سيارة سبورت ممكن انك انت تسوقها. كاترهام ابدعوا في صنع هالسيارة.